Warning, this presentation contains content that some people may find disturbing.
What is he called?
The Master.
I'm gonna flashback him.
Welcome back, my fellow nihilist. I'm your host, Lee, and in this video, we're going to ride the Flat Earth Preacher's crazy train. This will be a two-part video, mostly because we don't want to leave anything out or misrepresent or censor anything Mr. Thompson has to say.
It's not easy sometimes, being a truther, that's for sure.
If you knew what I know, you'd understand.
I say, go talk to somebody else besides your Uncle Bob. And here's what I do. I'm gonna flashback him. I recruit everyone around Bob to Flat Earth, and then they harass Bob, and I don't have to. So that's what I do.
Bing ball, I gotta talk over Nathan all the time. I gotta talk over him because I don't want people to hear what he's saying. Because I gotta censor him.
That's the evidence.
Because I'm scared.
And guys, real quick, you don't have to know that God is real to believe or know the earth is flat.
Nathan, I dare you to find me an agnostic flat earther.
The Bible says the beginning of knowledge is to fear God.
Oh, I'm so scared.
Well, then that's fucking stupid, and I'm so grateful that so many others have also decided not to agree with your stupid book.
And I think what that translates to is to hate sin, not hate sinners, but hate sin.
Nathan is straight up implying that to believe in the globe is to be like a terrible sinner.
And Psalm 2 says, "Why do the nations rage and plot a vain thing? The kings of the earth have taken up arms against the Lord and his anointed, saying, let us break their chains and cast them asunder."
How dare they, those fucking awful globers. They need unalived while they sleep.
So the elite have a plan against God. That's why when I walked into Flat Earth, I was not like, well, why would they lie to me about the shape of the earth? This is so weird.
What's weird is how you just did this little song and dance where you admitted to already losing your fucking mind before you went to the place of ignorance and stupidity.
I know that the people who run the world are evil. Right? They're not good people. 9/11, vaccines.
Oh, man. So this is what we call a non sequitur. For example, airplanes crashing into buildings and vaccines have nothing to do with the fucking shape of the planet, Nathan.
GMO, this is all stuff I knew prior to Flat Earth.
With all due respect, you aren't cognizant of his logic.
I know what you're thinking. It can't get much worse than this. But in part 2, he's going to go from being a personal trainer to studying biochemistry and applied neurological physics or some shit.
Secret societies and occultism.
Secret societies exist.
Accepted.
All that stuff, it's not easy sometimes, being a truther, that's for sure. But there is hope because it says in Psalm 2, right after that God sees their plans and he laughs.
It ain't easy being cheesy.
Right? Yeah. So we need to have that perspective, right? Like there's a plan and God knows it's going to be good and he's laughing at all this nonsense that they're putting out there, guys. So I try to have that same philosophy. And love is patient and kind. It's not jealous, boastful, proud, or rude, does not demand its own way, is not irritated, keeps no record of anything anyone ever does wrong.
Yes, the law of gravity is not a law. It's a vain religious superstition where globies assign a vector down, which helium balloons don't go down.
I feel, like I give them a second chance at life.
What do you mean helium balloons don't go down? You've obviously never heard about what this guy does to them.
Does not rejoice in iniquity or lies, but rejoices in the truth. And love never gives up, never loses hope, is always faithful, and endures all things.
This is my balloon sanctuary.
Said the only person who had never been in love. I mean, for fuck's sake, Nathan. Tell me you got psychopathy without just admitting your diagnosis outright.
And there's 3 things in there I want to talk about. Love does not demand its own way, it's not irritated, and it keeps no record of anything anyone ever does wrong.
These are clear-cut signs of things that narcissists say to other people in order to exploit them. And I guarantee he'd never forget about something a loved one did to wrong him. I don't know much about this guy, but I've been told that he's a terrible person.
wrong. And I think if we as truthers adopt that as our philosophy, like whatever your friends say, you're not going to get irritated. Whatever your friends say, you're not going to keep records of. And we don't demand our own way. We don't demand Uncle Bob gets it right now.
Said this guy who was apparently arrested for harassing elementary school students while they were at recess. Someone from the school commented, "We are concerned anytime some maniac is screaming from the sidewalk at the top of his lungs and chucking his garbage at students." And I know it's not hard to believe, but this idiot filmed himself in the commission of his idiocy.
I'm gonna flashback him. Guys, you don't live on a ball. The earth is flat. I got flyers for you right here. You can check out my YouTube, okay? Some of them picked them up. Some of them picked them up.
Drugs are bad. You shouldn't do drugs. Okay.
You can verify everything on my flyer. Large bodies of water do not curve. Large bodies of water do not curve. Research flat earth.
So I think that would just move our activism and move the movement forward so much if we stop getting irritated, stop trying to convince people, and just plant seeds and move forward. And so, guys, there's over 200, thank you, yeah. There's over 200 scriptures that point towards a flat stationary earth.
So I went and looked for the 200 flat earth Bible verses, and it's bad. It's really sad. Let me give you the first two. The earth was made before the sun. The universe is complete. Hell, one of them is, "Be still and know that I am God."
And Jesus walked into church and flipped over tables. So what I'd like to do with my speech is flip over some tables over at the NASA department. So
I'm reminded of Mark 2, 2-11. While Jesus was preaching God's word to them, 4 men arrived carrying a paralyzed man on a mat. They couldn't bring him to Jesus because of the crowd, so they dug a hole through the roof and lowered him down.
let's get right into it. This is where most people think they live. Spinning, tilted cartoon ball. I run the official Flat Earth and Globe discussion, and this will be a compelling review of modern and biblical cosmology.
Well, at best, it'll be about biblical cosmology, but you won't really say shit about real cosmology. And as an early prediction, I guarantee Flurfs can't 3D.
Warning, this presentation contains content that some people may find disturbing.
Ditto.
I don't care.
Ditto.
1, no one's asking you to believe what you're about to see without questioning it. But at least hear me out, okay? Listen to what I'm saying. If you're a Christian, search the scriptures. If you're not a Christian, do your own research. And if you are a Christian, do your own research.
The prisoner wishes to say a word.
Do your own research.
As the Bible says, test all things and hold fast to that which is true.
Well, I mean, it was kind of super cool that Nathan admitted that things that weren't evidently true are true to him before he discovered flat Earth, and now he wants you to think that because of religion, you should think the Earth is flat.
Cosmology, the science and origin and development of the universe. Uni, singular, verse, spoken word. So we all live in one spoken word. But who spoke it? That's a good question. This is what mainstream science will teach you. A violation of the first law of thermodynamics, matter cannot be created or destroyed.
Stupid scientists, they should know better.
You got knocked the fuck out!
So they'll tell you at the beginning of the science books that all life and trees and organic and non-living matter came from an infinitesimal dot about the size of the period at the end of this sentence. That's what they say in the textbooks. And then they'll tell you that everything's orbiting around the sun's blasting through space at 500,000 to 1.3 million miles an hour, so we travel roughly 20 to 35 million miles a day.
So I did elementary school math, and I added up the speed at which our galaxy moves and the speed at which we orbit the galactic center, and I came up with 42 million miles a day. And I'm not going to get into why it's ridiculously stupid to add those two numbers up.
And we don't feel a thing, right? Brilliant.
I'm sure Papa Flurf here has been told 1,000 times that this thing in our ear cannot sense constant motion. It only senses acceleration or deceleration.
So, do you know, or do you understand this modern cosmology as well as you think you do? I would submit, with the 10,000 people I've talked to and done activism with, globe earthers don't know their own religion at all.
Projecting religious-based faith onto science is a common tactic used by these flurfs. And just because your everyday Joe on the street isn't as versed on it, doesn't mean that they're wrong about it.
Like, at all. So, we need to educate them on the globe earth and the flat earth, guys. I can't tell you what's wrong with it. You just gotta see it for yourself. First question I want to pose to you guys is, does the earth spin 1,040 miles an hour? Does anyone in here, by a show of hands, think the earth spins 1,040 miles an hour and is brave enough to raise a hand? All right, cool, thank you so much. I'm going to ask you a question later because you were brave enough to raise your hand. So how would a spinning earth affect our atmosphere, guys? I have a question for the gentleman who raised his hand. Would it cause it to rotate as one cohesive body, or would the earth work as a giant blender? What do you think?
Ooh, here in the front row, teacher. Mostly the one on the left, I would say.
See, this is what let me repeat. Does the atmosphere move with the earth, or does the earth blend the atmosphere and the atmosphere moves separately from the earth? The atmosphere moves with the earth. Excellent. So, let's look at both of them real quick. If the atmosphere moves with the earth, my man, that's not what mainstream science teaches at all. They teach that Earth has a Coriolis effect and that the atmosphere moves separately from the Earth.
I suspect Nathan has about a 4th grade understanding of the Coriolis effect.
Check out Neil deGrasse Tyson's Twitter. He talks about field goals being made because of the rotation of the Earth moving separately from the atmosphere. So this is what I mean when I say globers don't know their own religion, guys. So let's look at, if it moves with the Earth, there's a problem with that. The atmosphere would have to increase in speed as you get farther away from the Earth, in velocity. Guys, this is insane because there's no force that would drag the air sideways, because don't forget, everything's pulling towards the center.
You're the psychotic. You should have the envelope. I should have the gun.
Pulling towards the center. Because gravity is pulling everything towards the center. So
Gravity?
there's nothing that's pulling it sideways at all whatsoever. And that's also not what mainstream science even teaches, even though those are all lies. So what natural force could do this? A column of air will not move as one cohesive body as a result of moving back and forth through the air as a result of the Earth spinning 1,000 miles an hour. So, for example, if I take this piece of paper and I wave it side to side, the air at the ceiling is not also moving side to side.
Oh, poor Nathan. Are you suggesting that this magnetic stirrer in this beaker with only air would not move the air at the top?
That's not how fluid dynamics work, okay? So I choose to reject this hypothesis. You guys can believe it if you want, my man, okay?
Well, gee whiz, Daddy-o. Thank you for your permission. Your support means everything to me.
But not what we observe.
Flurfs love using these little pictures that are misleading because they're not to scale. And in this picture, it looks like the atmosphere is about 2,000 miles thick. Of course, the air is not going to just sit on your hand up to the ceiling like it's a stack of Jenga blocks.
The atmospheric blender. So what would really happen if the atmosphere, to the atmosphere if the Earth spun, guys? What would happen is
The engine stops, we all freeze and die.
the air closest to the surface would move faster than the air away from the surface, and you would get a blender type effect. So it's an indisputable law of fluid dynamics.
So, did you learn about fluid dynamics when you got your degree in biochemistry and applied neurological physics?
If the Earth spun 1,040 miles an hour, like that.
That thing should only rotate once every 24 hours, not 10 times in 10 seconds. There's a flaw in that reasoning because the Earth and the atmosphere have been moving together for billions of years. Hell, even Nathan's little CGI animation ends up showing the atmosphere going the same speed.
Consequences of spinning Earth and atmosphere. Guys, we've all looked at airplane flights. I saw one person raise his hand that thinks the Earth's a spinning globe, so I'm going to breeze through this really quick. Basically, if the Earth was moving separately from Earth's atmosphere, it would be really tough to travel on planes. Also, you would have a difference in journey times east to west.
I'm going to skip this part because I found a YouTube channel called Reckless Ben, and they play a prank on Nathan, and they do a really good job of summing up what he's about to say.
This is Nathan's biggest proof of why the Earth can't be a sphere.
Most planes just fly in straight lines, you know? They're not curving or anything. You're just going around the center. You just make a circle. You don't notice that you're just making a slight turn over a long period of time, you know? It's too big to notice, you know? I mean, even if you just move 1 degree to the right an hour, nobody's gonna notice that, 1 degree an hour, you know?
So you would notice a 1 degree turn every 60 miles on a globe, but you wouldn't notice a 1 degree turn every 60 miles on a flat Earth?
Good stuff. You guys can believe what you want. Smoke on a moving surface behaves like this, guys. Smoke on a stationary surface.
I am so sorry that whoever edited this together with Nathan's presentation had the situational awareness not to include this demonstration.
Behaves like this. And then also you've got sometimes cloud formations are moving different directions in the sky. You got cirrus, cumulus, cumulonimbus, lenticular clouds.
Congratulations, Nathan. You listed off some clouds that were talked about in 4th grade. What you forgot to talk about is how clouds are affected by wind and temperature and pressure.
Dude, you just gonna interrupt me, dumbass? Less dense elements rise. So hydrogen, helium, lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine, neon, sodium, magnesium, aluminum, silicon, phosphorus, sulfur, chlorine, argon, potassium, calcium, scandium, titanium, vanadium, chromium, manganese, iron, cobalt, nickel, copper, zinc, gallium, germanium.
Consequences of spinning Earth and atmosphere, guys. I want to strap a rocket to this thing, and I want to move it like 1,040 miles an hour. Now, what do you guys think would happen to the people, the hot air balloons, the airplanes? Of course, they're just going to go flying off. Duh. I mean, it gets really basic, guys. I mean, this stuff is not hard to understand. It's
really, I swear it's not that hard.
It's that people have vain religious superstitions and they want to believe the Earth is a globe. So why do we think that 1,040 miles per hour would not affect our lives, guys? That's 5 miles per hour, it's fun. 60 miles per hour, you lose your lunch. 1,000 miles per hour is just a walk in the park.
This is getting a little complicated, Rocco.
Right? For that matter, what would the oceans do on spinning? Guys, they teach us that the Earth's a pear because of the rotation. So if the rocks are pulling outwards because of centrifugal force, how is the water not pulling outwards towards the equator?
Well, that's because if what you said made any sense at all, rocks are much more dense than water. Have you ever thrown one in water?
Who's the dummy now?
When I first looked at this, I go, how do we have land around the equator? The water should be pooling out towards the sides.
Let's look at this logically.
It's super easy to calculate the centrifugal force and the gravitational force at the equator, and yes, things weigh just a hair less than they would at the North Pole. I'm sure this grifter has been told about this a million times, but he can never admit it or test it because then he'll lose his primary source of income.
Yeah, no dice, Rocco.
But none of that happens because the Earth doesn't rotate, in my opinion. 2017 solar eclipses reveal the impossibility number 2, guys. This eclipse right here, August 21st, 2017, went from Oregon, traveled west to east to South Carolina. Now, let's pull up Solar Walk.
So Nathan's going to use an actual 3D model of the event, which he misrepresents or misunderstands, and we're going to get to totally destroy him for it.
Let's pull up Solar Walk from the European Space Agency. You guys ever heard a Glober say, where's your model? You guys ever heard that? Where's your model? Where's the flat Earth model? Where's the Glober's model, guys? Because it is not working out at all whatsoever.
Whatever.
And this is courtesy of ESA. This is European Space Agency. So what you do is you line up the moon on the day of the eclipse, you zoom in so that the sun is directly behind you, And then we're going to click play. And something's interesting is going to happen, guys. The moon is going to move from east to west. Not west to east. Not starting in Oregon and ending in South Carolina.
That has to be super embarrassing for Nathan, because what you're seeing in this 2-hour time lapse is the Earth rotate 30 degrees while the moon moved 1 degree. So I believe Nathan intentionally hid the shadow. Here's an animation and satellite time lapse footage.
It's really, I swear it's not that hard.
During an eclipse, the Earth must just reverse itself.
I guess that air globe hand gesture would be correct in this fantasy if the North Pole was facing the floor.
For that to happen, right? All solar eclipses start in the west and go eastward. What? Map of the next 10 annual and solar eclipses, guys. You can look this up yourself.
Down there at number 6, it looks like it's doing something unusual. That's super embarrassing for Nathan because he doesn't understand that the Earth spins faster than the moon orbits the planet. I mean, if it's so easy, Nathan, why don't you get out your flat Earth model and show us how it works? Or make a future prediction using it.
Here's another one you could do yourself very easily. Impossibility number 3. You go to College Station, Texas, lay down on your back, look at the sky, pick out a couple stars. And then 6 months from then, lay on your back, pick out a couple stars, and see if they're completely different or all the same.
Wow.
Dum 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 dum.
So I'm not sure if this is willful ignorance or intentional stupidity. Yeah, the North Star is going to be where the North Star is. It's when you look west and east and south that those stars change. And no, you will not see them from month to month to month to month. This shit ain't rocket science. You can buy these charts that'll teach you how to find the stars and the constellations and when. And it will take you hundreds of hours of staring at the sky to figure this shit out.
And let's not forget, that sun is traveling 500,000 miles an hour.
All of the stars you see outside at night are within our own galaxy, orbiting the galactic center, moving relatively the same speed. And they do slightly change in human lifespans.
Right? So we're January 1st, July 1st, could any of the same constellations be seen, guys?
Yes, and that's why we have these astrological constellations near the ecliptic plane that you only see certain months of each year. Nathan is going to do an excellent demonstration of why, except he forgets that you can look up and down.
Let's pretend that this podium is the sun. Nighttime's going to be over here January 1st. Now I'm orbiting, I'm going around the sun. Now I'm over here July 1st. This is nighttime.
Dum 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 dum.
This should be an entirely different night sky.
And guess what, Nathan? It is an entirely different sky, unless you look north if you're in the northern hemisphere.
At this point, there are no globe earthers. It's just flat earthers and anti-flat earthers. And the anti-flat earthers are just playing with themselves, guys.
You're correct. There's an inconsistency in my reasoning.
Masochist.
Damn, was that painful to get through. Now I know why I don't do flat earth videos. Be sure to come back for part 2 and do all the stuff that it doesn't cost you a penny. I hope to see y'all in the next one.